Hey friends, glad to be back with you this week and sharing the message from Missing Piece this week with you. This week was a bit unique. We met at Halifax Hospice and were, as part of our Summer of Serving series, engaged with them and did a little project for the folks, the patients of the hospice, and it was a really wonderful experience, and grateful for Terry Greenbaum and Tammy and those that helped us get it organized, so thanks to them. As part of our time together, we read the story called The Fall of Freddie the Leaf. I'm not going to read it to you here, so find it online or at your library, but it basically describes the life cycle of a leaf, how it's born in the spring and grows and changes color in the falls and eventually falls from the branch, and just sort of compares that to the life and death cycle that we go through. So I'll reference that in today's message, but I encourage you to take a look at it and read the story in its fullness. And with that, here's this week's message from Missing Piece. Life and death. We do not like to talk about life and death. Okay, so mostly the death part. What if we say the wrong thing? What if we scare the children? What if we upset someone who has lost a loved one? What if we have to think about our own mortality? Oh boy, we do not like to talk about death. Instead, we prefer to talk about living. We watch ads that promise us a younger look, to feel younger, to live longer and healthier. I get it. That makes sense. It's where we are now. YOLO, right? You only live once. Live in the present. But to ignore this natural part of our existence, to ignore the reality that we are all eventually going to transition from this life, is to rob ourselves from the fullness of and appreciation for the life we are living now. The story we read, The Fall of Freddie the Leaf, was recommended to me by a colleague, and I was excited about using it this week. First thing I did, of course, is Google it and found a YouTube video that read the story out loud. My favorite part? It was posted by A Pagan Perspective. Well, thanks for sharing, my pagan friends, but in my eyes, Jesus talked about the same thing. Listen to this quote from the book of John. Listen carefully. Unless a grain of wheat is buried in the ground, dead to the world, it is never any more than a grain of wheat. But if it is buried, it sprouts and reproduces itself many times over. In the same way, anyone who holds on to life just as it is destroys that life. But if you let go, reckless in your love, you'll have it forever, real and eternal. Tell me you see the parallel here. We may use different language and we may believe different things, but there are some truths that surpass any specific belief system and are pointed to by all of them, and even by the natural world around us. And this is one of those truths. Death, disease, hardship, none of them get the last word. We cling to the life we have like Freddie the Leaf, clinging to the branch, because we are afraid of what comes next. But the truth in the scriptures, the truth in nature, the truth in our own experiences tells us, be not afraid. This is not the end. Death is not the last word, but instead is change and transformation into the next. Don't get me wrong here. This doesn't mean there's no room for grief and devastation. This does not mean we need to rush through the pain of loss or move on as our culture so frequently pushes us to do. What it does mean is that there is hope in the loss also. There is promise of new life. There is transformation, not only of the one transitioning to the next, but for us as we remember and become more complete and better people in the wake of our beloved loss. It means we share the stories and experiences, and they weave their way into our larger family culture, our family tree. if you will. And honor that as a part of a larger story still. Honor and acknowledge that we are part of something greater than ourselves, and challenge us to consider who we will be in that story. What part will we play? What will we teach our children? As we sat there in the hospice organization last week, there were people preparing for their final transition in life. There were families preparing for the pain of loss. There was fresh grief from loss just experienced. Let's lift up and honor the sacredness of those times and that space, and laugh or cry or be still as we need to. But in all of it, remember the life that continues on, the love that continues on, the grace that continues on. Amen. As always, I invite you to come and check out what we're doing at Missing Peace. You can find information on the Missing Peace Facebook page or our website, ormansmissingpeace.com. And I invite you to take part in our upcoming event, the Sunday Soul Brunch, that'll be on July 31st, and you can find those details online. I'm grateful to have this time to share this message with you. Grace and peace, my friends.